This is the part 2 of our awesome Excel dashboard tutorial. In part 1, we constructed the overall business summary, geographical summary using maps as well as the team performance. In this part of the video, we are going to look at how to make the people side of the things as well as the product side of the things. Again, just as the previous part, this part is also packed with lots of powerful, useful and practical Excel tricks, formula understanding, as well as how to creatively combine pivot tables, charts, conditional formatting and various things to get the final output. Let's go into the video. Let's go to the calculations page so that we can set up the necessary pivots to generate the people side of the team performance report. So here underneath the team's report, we will give some space and then insert our next pivot. This is going to be from data model as well. And in this pivot, we want to list all our employees. So I'll go to the people salesperson. We want to put the team in the front. That way I can see which team they belong to. And then for each of them, I want to know what is their total amount. So we got amount, and then we need to know what their profit is as well as how much is their profit percentage. So these are the numbers that we will show in the dashboard. And along with that, we also need to see whether they have done any shipments, how many shipments they have done, how many boxes, etc. But that part we will generate through formulas. Let's just rearrange this pivot quickly. Using report layout tabular, repeat all items and then turn off any subtotals and grand totals. So this is my master pivot table, and from here I want to filter down to the team that is being selected on the screen. So the team that is selected will be from my S82 cell, the yellow colored one. Normally, while you have cells like this, it's a good idea to give them names so that when you refer them elsewhere in the report or dashboard, you can easily spot them. So instead of saying S82, I will say selected.team. That way, every time I want to know what that value is, I can use the name selected team. So here, out of this data, I just want to filter down to only the names and amounts and profits for the Delish team, because that's what is selected. So this is where we can use the filter function. So I'll call this as filter data. And here we want the salesperson amount, profit and profit percentage. And this is nothing but filter. And we want to filter this data. So we'll select all our original pivot data. Right now we only have this much data, but in future we might add some more team members. We have 25 team members right now. So just to be safe, I'm gonna go up to 40 rows. Again, if you have more data or you're expecting something more complicated, you can come up with clever or smarter solutions for this problem. Here it doesn't really matter because I know what we are working with. So filter this data, and the criteria is team needs to be, so we'll select the team column is equal to selected team. So this is going to give me a cut of data for just the Delish team. You can see that this is the data. So now all I have to do is get this dynamic number of rows into the dashboard. So here, this is my K100 cell. I can go to the dashboard and set up the area for us. So the area will be salesperson, sales, profit and profit percentage. We'll also have another one for the shipment thing and the trend stuff. And underneath this, say equal to, and then point to the K100 cell. We want all the data that is going from there onwards. So we can use the spill operator like that, and that will give me all the data. So whatever is the selected highlighted team, all of their data will show up here. So for example, if I change this to Yummies, so let's just change this to Yummies. You can see that now here the data has grown. In the dashboard also we will have some extra data. Let's quickly adjust the column widths and format things. Now that it is all formatted, let's add some data bars to this range. When you are applying conditional formats, you're not able to tell Excel to extend the formatting as far as the data is available. So you'll have to pre-select some rows. So I'm going to select up to this point and then say conditional formatting data bar and add these data bars. The data bars are good, but they kind of overlap the data. So I'll go again, manage rules, edit the rule, and minimum is a number and maximum is also a number. And this number, we are going to put it up to 2 million and apply that so that the bars only sit halfway through. While the 2 million number is hard coded, you can actually set this number to be a variable as well. So it's a good idea to set up the variable. I can go back to my calculations, and here you can see that these are the amounts. We can calculate what is the max amount, and this is nothing but maximum max of this range, and then we can just multiply that with 2 and then round it to nearest 100,000. So that we will get this value here, and this is the number that we shall use for our conditional formatting. So here I can just set this as amount bar limit, and now we can go to the dashboard, manage rule, and then here in the number area just type amount bar limit, apply, so that it will set that to that value. So this is good. Next up, we want to add a profit icon as well. This icon needs to be on or off depending on if I choose to show it or not. So again, in the calculation area, we will set up a profit indicator. This kind of a thing, because it needs to be available for both tables, it's a good idea to set this up all the way on the top. So we're going to do it here. Profit icons, they're on. This one is again going to be yellow. And we will need to turn this on or off once we have the connection in the dashboard. So I'm going to name this as profit icon status. And now let's go back to the dashboard, select these cells and conditional formatting icons, and then let's just add an icon and manage this. The default icons are not going to work for us. What we want is, if the profit is more than 60%, then we want it to be green. Anything between 60 to 40 is amber, and anything under 40 should be red. So we will adjust the rule, manage the rule, edit, and change this to number based rules, and then type the rules here. Again, you can have these values, type them here, or you can link them to a variable cell. For now, I'm just going to type it, but feel free to add a variable. And let's click OK and apply. Now these icons are always going to show up, but what we want is, we want them to show up only if my indicator is on. So we need to add another rule through conditional formatting so that we can on or off these icons. So select the cells, go to conditional formatting, new rule, use a formula, and then this formula will be, we don't need these icons all the time. We want to turn them off if my profit icons is off. So to do that, we'll have to have another conditional formatting rule. So select the cells, go to conditional formatting, new rule, use a formula, and then this formula will be profit icon status is equal to, within double quotes, off. So whenever this rule is true, we want to turn them off. No need to set any formatting. Click OK, and then now go to manage rules. You can see that there are two rules on this, and this rule is on the top and that rule is at the bottom. So I can select the top rule and then say stop if true. What this will do is, it will not apply any further rules that are down on the screen if this particular rule is true. So here we are saying if it is off, then that rule will be true. So that means all of these will not work. And then click OK. Right now they are showing up because it is on. Let's just change this to off. And here my icons are gone. So this is a clever and fun way to get your icons on or off in a dashboard scenario. Next up, we want to show the shipment status. I'll bring my completed dashboard on the screen so you can see what are the options that we have. We want to show whether something is shipped or not. Likewise, we want to see the sales, boxes, and shipments too. Not only this bit, we also need a mechanism to sort this table. Right now it is showing me just all the data, but if I want, I can sort this by sales, salesperson, or profit percentage. So we need to do two things. One is sort this entire table along with the graphs, but also we need to make the graphs. This is going to be interesting. In order to see the trends, we need to know what happened in the last 28 days. So this is where things get a little bit more interesting. We need to first figure out what is the last date and then work backwards to the 28 days. So if I go to my data, in the date column, let's just apply filters so you can see how long we have data. The data goes from 2021 to 2022, end of January. So if I can really ask the question, what is the latest date in the data column, then we know what is the last date, and then from there we can work backwards to 28 days. So we can set up two calculations here. Latest sales date. We could use pivot tables to calculate the dates and generate the trend as well, but I'm using formulas. So we'll just use max sales date, and then that'll give me the maximum date in the number format. Let's just turn this into date. So you can see 31 Jan 2028. 28 days ago would be this minus 28. So the trend that we are interested in is really between 3rd of Jan to 31st of Jan. So this is the starting date. We'll name this as starting date for trend. Now we can go back to the data here, and we need to set up a calculation area to calculate all the numbers to figure out the trend. Before we do the dates, let's first figure out what are the various trends that we need to calculate. So trend options are, so these are my options: shipped, sales, boxes, and shipments. I'm going to select this and then give it a name called graph options. And then we'll assume that user has picked, for example, sales. Again, this will be in yellow color. Once we figure out how to link it up in the dashboard, I will change the color back. So this is X match of that in the graph options is the second option. So right now that is the second option. If I change this to boxes, it'll be 3. We'll switch back to sales. So this is there. Now we need to just make the sales data for all of these people in the last 28 days. So let's set up a grid where the dates are generated. The first date would be starting date for trend +1. And then this one is this +1. And then I'm going to drag this few more times until we see 31st of Jan. So there you go. All the dates are now available. And for each date, I want to calculate sales for each of these people. I'm just going to move everything a little bit sideways so that we have some space here. And let's just list the person name. The person is equal to, this is nothing but index of this list here, just the first column. So it's going to list all the names. This way we don't have to manually set it up. If I change the team, automatically their people will spill down here and I'll only get that many rows. I will not have any zeros or anything like that. So for these people, I want to know how much is the total sales for Barfoni on 4th of Jan 2022. And this is where I can use the SUMIFS function. SUMIFS of sales amount. Criteria 1 is salesperson is Barfoni, and sales date is this. So Barfoni did not sell anything on 4th of Jan. But if I adjust the references, so we'll lock this to column T and lock this to row number 99, and then Control C, Control V, you will see that some of them have sold some things on various dates. this way of writing formula is not correct, so I need to adjust things. It is not correct for a couple of reasons. One, it is only doing sales amount all the time, so that part is not right. And the second thing is we have copy pasted the formula. So what if I have less number of people? So for example, I'm going to change my selected team from yummies to juicies, and you'll see that all of these become zeros. So this formula is not the correct way of writing this. We'll switch back to yummies, and I'll show you a different way of writing this. Number one, where I have salesperson here, if I just say T100 hash, then it will point to that, and that will give me a spill error here. But if I just delete, I'll get all the values. Now these values will go down as far as the names are there. So at this time, if I change this to juices, you can see that this automatically shrinks. The next thing is we don't want to do sales amount all the time. We want to do either sales or boxes or shipments or the status of shipments. So instead of a single sum ifs like that, we can, using some logic, I can change. So if it is 2, then it should be amount. If it is 3, it should be something else. So here outside of this, I will use the choose function. Choose of that number. If it is 1, then I want to count ifs. So it's gonna count whether there is a salesperson on that date. So whether bar phoning has appeared on that date or not. If they have appeared, that means they have done a shipment, and then that's count ifs. So it's just going to tell me how many times they have appeared, and I just want to check if it is greater than 0. So if it is 1, then it will tell me if they have shipped. If it is 2, I'll get the sales amount, and if it is 3, then instead of amount, we will just change this to boxes, and if it is 4, then we want to count how many shipments they have done. So we will get it like this, and then I can control C this, control V. So I'll get all the values spilled down automatically. And now if I change this to shipped question mark, I'll get a bunch of true false values, sales, boxes, and shipments. So this is how many shipments they have done. Let's switch back to sales. Now the data is ready. All we need is we need to put up the trend. So we'll go to the dashboard, select these cells. For just to be safe, I'm selecting few more cells than there are people, because when you're setting up the graph through Sparkline, you're not able to access the spill range again. So I'll select some extra cells and then go to insert, click on column, and then where it says data range, go to here and then point to my data range. So here I've selected 10 rows, 23 to, actually 12 rows. So I'm gonna go up to like that and then point to that range. So we will get the graph like this. This graph is dynamic. So if I change my type of graph, so for example, instead of sales, we go to boxes. I'm seeing boxes here, and in the dashboard, I will see the boxes. And then at this point, I'm gonna go to the Sparkline, change the color to slightly darker color like that, so that will come up there. And that's pretty good. Our information is coming up nicely. We'll have to adjust the formatting, but let's just test what happens if I put it shipped. Now this is just a bunch of true or false values. See what happens on the dashboard. I'll get this nice barcode effect. If it is true, Excel will treat that as 1, so it will show the bar. If it is false, Excel will treat that as 0 and the bar will not be shown. Now we will have the options here. So I'll select this cell, go to data, data validation, list, and then this list is F3 graph options. So I'll see the options here. I can pick whatever I want. Right now nothing happens when I pick. This is because we have not linked it. But once I have set up this here, I can go to calculations, select my yellow cell, say this should be equal to, and then point to the cell, click OK. So now this and that are linked. Time to turn this blue and come back here and change this shipped, sales, boxes, shipments. Working beautifully. Let's adjust some of the formatting. To start off, I want to make sure that this one is highlighted so that people know this is where they can select. So I will adjust the background color to a darker tone so that that stands out immediately. Next up, I want to print a zebra shading here if we have data. We also need to make sure that we can sort this table. So first figure out the sorting mechanism and then come back and add the zebra lines later on. The sorting needs to be twofold. This table needs to be sorted. These graphs need to be sorted. So this is where if I sort this table, because these names are linked to that table already, if I sort this, then everything gets sorted automatically. So we just have to figure out how to sort this. We'll need to set up, again, just as we have got trend options, we also need to have sort options. So let's just set them up. Sort options. So these are my sort options: salesperson, sales, profit, and profit percentage. I'll select this and then give it a name as sort options for people table. And then we will just say selected. For now, we'll assume that this is on sales. Again, we'll put yellow color there so that we can see that that needs to be fixed. And using Xmatch, I can figure out what that would be in the sort options for people table. So this is the second option. And here, if it is sales, then the sorting needs to be on the second column. If it is 3, then it will be here. If it is 1, it will be like this. So once the data is filtered, we can directly send it to sort function. Sort the filtered array on the sort index. Sort index needs to be this column here, Q11122. So whatever is the value, that's what it will be sorted on. And sort order needs to be in descending. So this is gonna sort by sales. Notice what happens when I change to salesperson. This is 1, but I'm getting the names in Z to A order. So the sort order needs to be descending except when I have it on the name, and then it needs to be ascending. So here we will have a sort order as well. And then this will be, if this is 1, then it needs to be 1, else it needs to be -1. And I can just point it to that cell. So that way when I pick the name, the names will be in alphabetical order. If I pick any number, they will be in descending order because more is good for amount, profit, and profit percentage. So once this is sorted, notice what happens here. This is also as per the same order because this and that are linked. I'm just gonna squeeze everything in here and then we can test this out. If I change this to sales, notice what happens to this and this. They both change. All good. I think now we're able to sort. So if I go to the dashboard again, I'm seeing this already sorted by sales. We'll just need to link these things up on the screen. Going back to the completed dashboard, we need to do a few more things in this part of the report before we move on to the next bits. The key things are there is an option to select how I want to sort or which team I want to see. So we need to be able to select a team and then see the team details here. So this needs to be incorporated. Likewise, we want to be able to sort it by any particular column. So right now it is sorted on profit percentage. If I go to sales, I should be able to sort. All of the functionality is there. We just need to integrate it to the report here. Whenever we apply a sort order, we want to see the sort indicator on the header section itself. Likewise, we would like to add a label on the top to tell us that this is the last 28 days. Also, we need to print a blue color bar on the side to kind of color match the highlighted team here so that when we see this Delish and then the blue color here, it kind of tells us that these are the Delish team members. So let's go ahead and add these things. So we'll select this area and then fill up the color to highlight that like that. And then here we need two options. One is team selection and another is the sort option. If you go back to the calculations, we already have the sort options listed here, but we don't have any team names listed anywhere. So let's go ahead and get the team names as well. I can print the team names here and we can do it in a couple of different ways. We could, of course, use another pivot table to generate the team names and extract them here. Or alternatively, I can go to my people table and use the unique function, unique people team, and that will give us all the team names. These are the 4 team names. I'm just gonna apply a sort order on this. So sort of unique, and that's gonna just list them in the A to Z order, which is more logical in this case. Next up, I will select the first cell where the team names are extracted, P115, and then go to formulas, define name, team.names, and then P115 hash. This refers to the entire spill range. So how many ever teams are there, we will get all of those names as a single list into the team names named range. We'll click OK. And then now I can go to the dashboard. Here we can say pick a team. And then in this cell, using data validation, list. And then here using F3, I can pick the team names named range. So we can now select a team. I can select Delish, Juices, or Tempo. Let's set up the other thing as well, and then we can go and link these up. So we'll say sort by, and here in this option, data validation, list, F3 again, and we will use the sort options for people table list so that those sort options will also come up. When I pick a sort option, the value is a little more than the cell, so it kind of spills out. So I'm going to select these two cells, home, merge and center, so that the sort options list is in the cell here. We'll apply a quick adjustment of the formatting for this. And now we are able to select both the team and the sort option. So let's go ahead and link this cell to my calculations. So we can go to the calculations, and in the calculations worksheet, we have got the selected team Yummies here in the yellow color. And we will just say this should be equal to in the dashboard and point to the cell. Excel seems to have a bug, so every time I have a data validation and I try to point to the cell, it doesn't point. So I select the cell above, and then using the arrow keys will point to this cell and enter. Now this is set to tempo. Let's test this mechanism. You can see that the tempo is already highlighted. I can change to Delish, Juices. It is working perfectly. I can see this updated as well as my chart is updated. Let's link up this guy as well. We can go to calculations, and selected sort order is here in the yellow cell. This is equal to in the dashboard. Again, point to the cell and hit enter. We'll get the value here. And again, my sort order is now A to Z. If I select sales, this is sorted. If I select profit or profit percentage, I get the answers here. This is perfect. Now let's go ahead and add a blue bar here. The blue bar needs to extend as far as there is a value in the adjacent cell. So we can select all these cells here, and then just go to conditional formatting, new rule. And here we will write a rule that will just check if the adjacent cell is not blank. So here we can say equal to, point to this cell, adjust the reference, and then not equal to blank. If so, I want to format and then fill it with the blue color, then click OK, and we'll get like a nice blue bar here. I'm just going to adjust the column width so that it's not too big, and that looks pretty. All right. The next thing that we want to do is make sure that the header shows the correct information whenever we apply the sort order. Right now, these values are typed in the dashboard. We will link them up to a cell value in the calculations. So we'll go to the calculations. In a blank cell here, I'm going to use my Windows down arrow and point to the down arrow symbol. So from the symbols, I can use the arrows and then select the down arrow. That's the sort order. That will basically be the arrow that will be displayed in this final output. And here we'll generate the table headers. The table headers would be these four, except if the value is same as what is being sorted, then we will append this. So it will be this ampersand if sorted option is equal to this value, then that, else nothing. Okay. So we will have this. When you drag this down, for the profit percentage, the down arrow will appear. And now that these values are there, I will Control C them, go to the dashboard, in an empty range, paste them as links, and just map them out here. And finally, adjust the formatting again, so that whatever is selected, that will be having the down arrow. So if I now change this to sales, you can see that there is a down arrow there. We can change this arrow as well. there's a thicker version of that arrow, so I'm using that with an extra space in the beginning so that it looks a bit nice and solid. The final thing that we want to do is add zebra shading here so that every other line is in a different color. That makes it for easy to read this whole report. So again, I'm going to select this table here and then go to conditional formatting, new rule. And this is a rule where we will just check if the row number is a odd or even number, and if it is odd, we will just have a background color. This is a standard technique in conditional formatting, so we can use the mod rows. So we will get something like this. We are getting the zebra shades even when there is no data, so we'll have to add some extra condition here that basically checks if the cell is blank. If so, then it would automatically turn off the rule. So I'm going to adjust my conditional formatting rule, and instead of just doing a mod, we will do an AND condition and then check for column K. So now the zebra shading will only appear if there is data, otherwise it will not, it will just be black. And I can test this out. Let's just go to Delish or Yummies and then sort by profit percentage. Everything is working perfectly. We just need to add an extra label here that says last 28 days. We can select one of these, Control C, Control V, put that there, and then double click and then type the, adjust its size, and we have our data ready. I can change this to shipped, or I can see any of the individual trends. I can see the data. I can pick a team to see what's happening to that team. Looking great. Let's go ahead and build the rest of the dashboard here. Our next job is to fill up this space of the dashboard with the product performance details. Let's take a look at the finalized one so we can understand what are the things remaining to do. We need to show individual category performance of 3 categories that we operate in: bars, bytes, and other. And here we are showing what is our profit and total sales is, and how much is our profit percentage. The profit percentages are shown in these cool looking gauge charts along with the category names on the top. Whichever category you pick will be highlighted with a circle button right next to it. So if I go to bytes, I will see that button there. Other will have that indicator there. I'm showing all the products, but whichever category you pick, only those products are listed on the top with a yellow indicator, and then the remaining products go underneath, along with the rest of the stuff like what is their sales, boxes, shipments, profit percentages, and whether we have done any shipments for those products in the last 28 days. I can change this to sales, boxes, or shipments, and then see the trend. Let's see what happens if I click on a category. So if I select bars, I will see all my bar products on the top and the rest of the products underneath. So whenever I apply a sort order, so for example, if I sort by sales now, see what happens. It does a 2-level sorting. So it shows me all the bar products on the top by the order of sales, and then the remaining products in the other categories are automatically sorted by sales. So this opens some very interesting challenges for us when we are trying to figure out the formulas and the logic for all of this. Let's go ahead and build this part of the report. We'll start by constructing the gauge charts on the top, and then we'll construct this table. To begin, we'll go to the calculation worksheet, go all the way under, and then here I'm going to insert a pivot table from the data model. This pivot table needs to look at all the categories because we do need to show information for all categories, even when one of them is selected on the slicer. In this pivot table, let's just show the category-wise profit percentages, profits, and total amount. Right next to the pivot table, we will set up a calculation area using which we can generate all our charts and necessary bits. So the first thing is I want to know if this category is on slicer or not. So this will be a 1 or 0, 1 if the category is part of the slicer selection and 0 if not. And here we will use the countifs function. Countifs criteria range is my pivot on the top with my slicer selection values harvested. We'll just pick the first 6 rows and make sure that the reference is locked to that range. And then we'll count how many times bars has appeared in that. So if bars is selected, then it's gonna have 1, else it'll be 0. When you drag down, whatever category is picked, that'll be 1, everything else will be 0. So right now, as you can see on the dashboard, we have picked bytes. So this is 1. Next, we will select a blank cell, and then using Windows and dot key, we will insert a symbol that has a circle and then a fillet circle inside it. So this symbol, and then we will just say category, and this would be parse ampersand if this value. Now you can kind of test it is equal to 1, but 0 is anyway false and 1 is true. So anything greater than 0 is true. So we can just say if J152, then I want that value, else I want blank spaces. That way it'll have that, and wherever you pick the category, that'll have that extra symbol added. Next, we will add a blank column. You will understand quickly why we need this, and then I'm going to type 1 in that. Next, we will bring the profit percentage. This is nothing but equal to, and then the pivot table value. We will then calculate the cost percentage, which is nothing but 1 minus profit percentage. Because our profits are 69%, our costs must be 31%. Once all of these are there, we will then select these 3 cells, insert a donut chart. You can see that the big blue bar is my blank portion, and then profit and cost are here. This is almost the chart that I made, but I have formatted it so that it looks like a nice little gauge. So to format this, the first step is to click on any one of them and then press Ctrl+1 to open Format Data Series. From here, we'll make sure that the angle of first slice is adjusted in such a way that this becomes horizontal. So if I put it to 90 degrees, you will see that it goes like this. At this point, if I click and select just the blue series, which is my blank, go to Format and then make sure that there is no fill or no outline, we essentially have a gauge chart with the orange bar is my profit and the remaining bit is my cost. We can then adjust the whole size. I think I've used 50% so that it looks nice and thick, and then select this one, make it green color to match our profits, and then this one we will just adjust its color. Get rid of the chart title and the legends so that we will have this. We also need to show what our profit percentage is inside the donut chart. To do this, what I've done is I have inserted a shape of a circle. So you can select the oval shape, and if you hold down your shift key, when you draw it, you will draw a perfect circle. So I've drawn a perfect circle, making sure that this is fitting inside the donut like that. And then from shape fill, select a gradient based fill like this. And if you want, you can adjust this a little bit more. I think I went and added a inside shadow so that it kind of creates a little bit of depth. And this is the box where we will display our profit percentage. Our profit percentage is already here. So we can select this, go to the formula bar, say equal to, and then point to the profit percentage. It will be printed there. We can adjust the alignment of that. Before we make any further formatting adjustments, we need to make sure that the sizing of this is not too big, because if it becomes too big, then we cannot fit 3 of these on the dashboard. So I'm going to select these 2, Ctrl+C them, and go to the dashboard, paste it here so that we can test out the alignment and the sizing. As you can see, one category chart is too big, so we can't really show 3 of these here. So I'll have to resize this. We'll go one step at a time. We'll pick the donut chart and then make sure that that is not too big, and select the donut chart again, ensuring that there is no fill color or outline on it so that it is just the donut. Then we will adjust this circle, also size it. When you are sizing the donut charts, Usually it's a good idea to make sure that the outer box is also in the square shape. The outer box here is in a rectangle, so I'm going to adjust its size to be a square. You can kind of trial and error this, but a better option would be just select the chart, go to format, and using the height and width, you can make sure that they match. So let's just make these two things 1.7. That way this will fit inside that nicely, and then I can just adjust this and put that there. This looks perfect, and I could easily fit 3 of these here and then have my slicer sitting there. In fact, if I overlay my final dashboard, you can see that that is pretty much how I have done it. So let's go ahead with that. We need to adjust some of these colors. Finally, this one doesn't show any value. That is because this is pointing to M152 on this spreadsheet. So we will need to adjust its reference by saying equal to, go to calculations and point to the profit here so that it shows up correctly. After adjusting its font size, there is a word wrap thing happening. So to fix this, you can go to format settings of the shape, go to text box properties here, and then make sure that there is no margins. So we'll say everything is 0 and also uncheck the wrap text feature so that there is no word wrap happening. This looks pretty good. We do need to show what our total profit and sales are in dollar figures underneath. I'm going to quickly add the necessary calculations and bring those things here. So we'll have profit and amount, and these values are already in the pivot, so we can just point it to them and drag it so we get all the values. These values are good, but they're not good for presenting on the output screen. So we will have the same for display area and then set up the format code. So the format code we will use is this one. We'll use that format code. So profit amount, and then this is text of that value in that format. So we'll get 7.1441 million, and then we can drag it sideways. We will see it like this. There is one problem with this method though. If you notice the final dashboard, you will see that I'm not printing the M every time. I'm only printing it for the outer point, the sales value. For profit, I'm just saying 7.41. So to do this, we do need 2 format strings, one with M and one without M. So I'm going to make some adjustments here. There you go. The values are now ready. And then we will generate a display label. This is this ampersand slash that. So once the label is generated, we can go to the dashboard, and here we can insert a text box underneath the graph. And in this text box, we can say this should be equal to this value. We'll apply some formatting quickly. We also need to have a label on the top that tells me what category this is. Again, we can use the same text box idea, Control C, Control V, move the text box to the top, and this text box will be equal to, in the calculations, we have already set up the variable here. So we'll point to that, and we will apply the same formatting logic. And that is one category's profit gauge chart along with extra information. We just need to do it 2 more times. One way to do that quickly is select all of these items, Control C, go to the calculations and paste them twice, one for each of the remaining categories, and then adjust the references. So this one needs to be K153. This one needs to be K154. This needs to be here. Paste the items on the dashboard and apply the formatting again. While we can use the format painter to fix the formatting of the text boxes, to fix the formatting of charts, an easier option is select the first chart, Control C to copy, select the second chart, and then press Alt E, S, and then select formats. This is a special command that is not visible on the ribbon, but using this, I can format the second chart in the same way as first chart. We'll repeat the process for this one as well. And there are my 3 category gauge charts. We'll fix the alignment of all of this later, but for now, let's go ahead and construct this table. To begin that, we will set the column P as a spacer column so that everything begins from column Q. So I'm gonna make a note of this. It is 36 pixels and then try to adjust this to 36 pixels. Notice that as soon as we try to do this, this K chart kind of gets resized. This is not a desirable effect. So I'm gonna undo this and let's talk about a special trick using which you can adjust items like column widths without making changes to the chart. So I'll pick these three charts and Control 1 to format, and we will go to the size and properties area, and from properties the default behavior is move and size with cells. We will tell Excel that it should not move or size these things with cells. In fact, we will have to do this for these items as well to make sure that their size doesn't get changed if and when I adjust my rest of the spreadsheet layout. So now if I make it 36 pixels wide, the profit charts do not change their location. This is perfect, and now we can create our product listing table here that shows what's happening to our individual products, how they are performing. Let's make a quick note of which columns we require here. We need a product column, their sales amount, how many boxes, shipments, and profit percentage, along with the last 28 days performance for shipped, sales, boxes, and shipments. Notice that largely this table structure and formatting and everything is similar to what we have here. It's just that here we also have boxes and shipments as extra columns, and we are talking about products instead of people. And also this will show all the products but highlight the selected categories products on the top. Let's go to the calculations worksheet, go all the way down right underneath our categories, and from the products table we will start by adding category, product, and then let's construct rest of the pivot. So we will get a detailed pivot like that. I'm going to quickly change the layout of this to tabular layout with all item labels repeated and no subtotals or grand totals. So this is my source data pivot table, and we just need to rearrange this based on what sort order is selected. So we're going to set up some input cells for that. Let's set up a sort options listing here. And the sort options will be these values. So I can sort by my product, sales, boxes, shipments, or profit percentage. I'm going to select this listing here and then give it a name as sort.options products table. And then we will just say sort by. And for now, I'm going to assume that this is sorted by product. We will have to change this by linking it up with the dashboard. So we will paste the yellow color here to remind us that this needs adjustment later on. We will also assume sort order, and the sort order would be descending for all of these four, but when I switch to product, it should be ascending. So we will just say if this value is equal to product, then it needs to be 1, else it is -1. -1 corresponds to descending order when used in the sort function. Likewise, we will also need a profit icon indicator. And then for now, I'm going to just set this to on. We will again link this up to the dashboard so that we can turn this indicators on or off on the screen. Next, we will figure out what is the number of the sort option. Right now, it is all hard coded, but you will quickly understand why we need this once we set up the whole thing. So sort by column number is X match of this value in the sort options for products table, and that'll be 1. Notice what happens if I change this to sales. This will automatically become 2. We'll switch back to product for now. The next thing is we will set up an area where we extract the data from the pivot. So data from pivot, and then here this is equal to this range of 22 cells. This is going to tell me the categories, the product names, their amounts, boxes and shipments and profit percentages. This is looking pretty good. We can add the titles here. Just a note of caution here, if you notice this formula C172 to H193, this assumes that there will only be 22 products, but if you were to add some extra products, you will need to adjust the formula. You can make this whole thing dynamic, but I'm not bothering with that. The next thing is we need to know if a category is being filtered or not. That means I want to know if this category is the one that I have selected on the slicer here. If you remember from the earlier portion of the videos, you can see that the top pivot table here tells me which categories are selected. So we can use the cell ranges C5 to C7 to figure that out. So let's just add some calculation here that tells me, yes, this category is filtered, or no, it's not filtered. So we can have an extra column here, is cat on slicer. And then this one, we can use the countifs function, countifs, point to the first 3 cells here, lock them, and then just check with this value to see how many times it has appeared. It can only appear once or 0 times. Once if it is picked, 0 times if it is not picked. So you'll get a bunch of ones and zeros. Notice what happens if I change this to bytes. These are the ones that will have 1 and everything else will have zeros. Perfect. The next thing is, now that we have got all the data, we need to have a sorted version of the data, and then that is what we will use in the final dashboard. To sort, we need to apply 2-level sorting. The first sorting is on the category itself that is being filtered. So for example, right now bytes is being filtered. So I want to see all my bytes products on the top and then rest of the products underneath. When I'm showing the products, the sort order needs to be by the product. So bytes go to the top, rest of them go down, but within each section of that, we will need to then apply alphabetical order of the product name. So here we can use the SORTBY function. So we'll set up an area, sorted data, and we can say sort by. We only need this bit of data. We don't even need the category or these columns, but we do need them to do rest of it. So I'll select this much data. My first sorting criteria is this number in the descending order. That means whatever is 1 will go to the top. Then the second criteria is it needs to be out of this range, whatever is the column number that we have specified. So here I can use the index function to do this, index of this range. We want all the rows, the column number should be as per this column here. So this is where the index will return one of the 5 columns depending on what column we are sorting. The sort order for that would be specified by this cell. Again, this might seem all very confusing, but if you have made it this far in the video, I'm pretty sure you're kind of following along or nodding. So we'll click that and then you'll get the products listed. Here bytes products are on the top, so you can see 50% dark bytes, 70% spicy special slims. They all go to the top. Rest of them are all in the alphabetical order. If I change this now to, for example, sales, you can see that even though bytes products are on the top, these are the same bytes products, they themselves are arranged in the descending order of sales, and then the rest of them are in the descending order of the sales. So it's basically a 2-tiered sorting has been applied. We also need to generate the table headers. The table header logic is similar as earlier. Whatever field I pick, I need to have a down arrow added next to it. Bring that symbol there, and then we'll just say the original value ampersand if this value is equal to the sorting thing, then I want that, else I want nothing. So it'll get like this. When I drag this down, one of them is going to have the down arrow depending on what I picked. We're going to just say equal to transpose and then select this range so that it gets transposed and you will get them sideways. This is perfect. All the things that we need are now ready. I can select this, Control C, go to the dashboard and locate a cell, right click, paste them as links so that the data comes here. This table is so much narrower than these things, so we'll have to adjust some of these columns because our product names are quite long. So I'm going to make those adjustments. We'll also need to have another column here to kind of show a bar that will be either gold color or the yellow color or not, depending on whether a category is on this. So I'm going to just quickly insert a column here and then make that 8 pixels wide. Let's apply some of the formatting of the headers and the data. And now let's start adding the data bars for my sales. So conditional formatting, data bars, and we'll select the data bar. Again, the data bar is too big, so I'm going to set the limit of this to the highest value times 2. So we will just set up a quick calculation here on the top of maximum of this times 2, and then that'll be 2.17. We'll just round this to nearest 100,000 using the m round function. And then here, this number is what we will set as amount bar limit to. We already have amount bar limit there, so that's the name. And then go to the dashboard, select this, go to manage rules, and set this number to amount bar limit 2. Click OK, apply, so that the bars are on the left hand side and we can still read the numbers. This is perfect. Let's add an indicator here that will tell me if this is a category that is being filtered or not. To do that, we already have ones and zeros in the dashboard, so we'll just need to fetch that and print them here. So we will get is cat on slicer, and this is the column, but we can't just get that column as it is. We need to apply the same sort order again. Hypothetically, you can just sort it in descending order and that will be same, but just to be safe and correct, we'll need to apply the 2-level sorting again. So the first sorting is on this in the descending order, and then the second sorting is on my index of these values, this column in this order, so that all the ones will be on the top, everything else will be on 0. Once these numbers are there, we can Control C that. For now, I'm just going to expand this and then right click, paste as links. So you'll see that there will be a bunch of ones and a lot of zeros. Now that these values are here, I can select all of this, conditional formatting, and go to a new rule. And this rule is, we just simply check if this value is equal to 1. If so, we want to fill this up with the gold color. Else we don't want anything, and then we'll click OK, and then we get these nice highlighting going on. We need the highlighting, we don't even need the numbers to be shown on the screen. So again, I'll select all of this, Control 1 to format, and go to custom, and then type 3 semicolons. That way, whatever is on the screen will not show up in the cell values. It is still there, but it will not show up. So the values are gone. We'll restore this column back to 8 pixels. And now whatever is the filtered category, that will have that indicator. So we can just say bars, the indicator grows. And then if I pick bars and bytes, that'll be that. If I pick all 3, then I'll have like a full bar going on there. Let's switch back to bars, and then let's go ahead and add a profit indicator as well. So we'll select this, conditional formatting, icons, and then add the icon. We can go again to the manage rule, select the icon, edit it, and adjust the boundaries. So green icon whenever the value is greater than or equal to 0.6, amber when it is between 0.6 and 0.4, and anything under 0.4, that means 40% profit, will be a red icon, and we will apply that. So you can see that certain products are not meeting our profit targets, while some products are meeting the target. This is all good. We'll just add some zebra shading as well, but before we do that, let's go ahead and bring this graph as well. We need to do some calculations. So we'll set that up and then come back. In the calculations worksheet, we'll have a in last 28 days section, and we will have product. This is equal to the sorted list of my products. So they will show up here in that order. And then I can go and get my dates and then do my sum ifs calculations. We have already done this once. I'll just reuse the calculation logic and everything, just change the references. We will set up a cell to keep track of what trend we are showing. Right now I'm assuming it is shipped, and as per my graph options, that is the number 1 option. And then now I'll just fill up my choose formula. Once this works for one column, I can just Control C and paste it for rest of the 27 days. So we'll get this. Let's just test this for sales. The numbers are working fine. If you're wondering why there is a lot of zeros in the middle, this is because we don't do any sales or shipments in the weekends. So that's why there's 5 values, 4 values, and then there's a bunch of zeros in the middle. All right, this seems to work. We may have to test it out, but it's hard to test them here. So I'm gonna place the Sparklines on my dashboard and then we'll come back and test that. So we'll go to the dashboard, select all of these cells, insert, column, and then the data range is here. So we'll get the Sparkline. We'll just need to adjust the formatting. And here we will just set up data validation of a list equal to my graph options so that I can pick one of these. Right now nothing happens irrespective of what I pick, but once this is there, I can go to my calculations and link it up to this cell. So equal to dashboard and then that. So now whatever I pick, that's what this will show. It seems to work pretty good. We'll adjust the formatting of this one as well. And then let's just select all of this, add a bottom border around it. We'll also need to add some zebra shading here. The process is similar to what we did here. So I'll just add that rule. And I want to ensure that whatever is not selected is shown in a different color. So I'll just select this entire thing. And if we fill up this with a color, then we will see that, these are the ones that are not highlighted because they're shown here. Having that color will kind of help us in the reading section. The next bit that we need is we need to bring in the sort options and the profit indicator here. So we'll use this area for that. Sort by and then show profit indicators. In fact, I think we can just say profit indicators. In here, we will just set the data validation, list, F3, and then this is my sort options for products table. Likewise here, this needs to be a on or off option. We don't have anything like that set up. So I'll go to data validation, list, and then simply type on, off. You can also write these in a cell range and link them up. So we'll now have an option to sort by a specific product and show or hide the profit indicators. So let's link this one up with the calculation. So I can go to my calculation and locate the sort by thing. This is equal to, and then point to this. So whatever I pick, that's going to show up here. Time to make this blue. Next, this is what we are going to do. We will just say, go to calculations. This cell is equal to, and then come and point to this one. So whatever I pick there, that's one going to come up here. And so now we are able to sort. So if I go to sales or by boxes or by shipments or by profit percentage, this is all nicely sorting. Sorting bit works, but even when I say on or off, my profit indicator is still being shown. So this is something that we need to adjust. As you can see here, in fact, I kind of got lost a little bit. We already have the profit icon status here as on or off. So this is the one that we should have linked to. So I'm gonna just say this is not the one. Instead, we will use that. So for now, I will just strike through this and then go to dashboard, select this, go to calculations, and from here just select this. This is equal to, and point to this one. So now this is off. This means when I off, notice that these icons are gone, but these icons are still there. If I on them, these icons come up. This is because here we have set up the rule that kind of turns off the conditional formatting. So we'll just need to do that here as well. Select this, conditional formatting, new rule. And this rule is conditional formatting, new rule, use formula, and the formula is profit status, profit icon status is equal to off. If so, we will add that rule, then go to manage, and now these rules are there. So we will move this rule in the middle because we do need the zebra shading to happen all the time. And this, whenever this is true, we want this to not run. So we will set the stop if true for that and then click OK. Right now it is on. When I off that, like magic, those icons are gone. All right, our dashboard is 99% ready. Everything is working fine except this slicer. This slicer looks like it is out of place. So let's just fix that. I'm going to move this a little closer to this and then adjust its width. First step I'm going to do is right click, go to slicer settings, and from here uncheck the display header option so that we don't have any header, only this much. And then we can put that like that. So now I can pick any category. This is self-explanatory, but if you are presenting this to an audience who may not be familiar much with the product lingo, it's a good idea to add a button or a text value on the top that says pick a category. The next one is we want to synchronize this with our black colored theme for the rest of the dashboard. To do this, you can go to slicer and there are many styles that exist. So light and dark styles. So if I pick one of the dark styles, it should match, but unfortunately none of the styles within Excel slicer style options are close enough to what I need. So I'm going to pick something that is good enough. So for example, this one is the gold color is synchronized very well with the rest of the gold coloring that we went with. And then from here, I'll right click, duplicate the style, and then we will call this as slicer for DB. You don't need to name this. You can just leave the name as the default, but having a name means you know exactly what you're doing. So then we'll go to whole slicer format, and then we will fill it up with the same background color as our dashboard. Click OK and OK. And now you have a custom slicer. When you pick that, you will have that. It's not perfect, but it is close enough. The next step that I'll do is I'll customize this. So that looks good. And I can pick a specific thing. In my final dashboard, I have used more or less the same thing, but I've done a few more things for the buttons so that whatever is unselected is a little bit more toned down than that kind of a background there. But all in all, our dashboard is working nicely. Everything is interactive. I can select an item. I can see that highlighted there. All my tables get rearranged. All the values get show up. If I click and drag and multi-select everything, then only the overall numbers are shown and this gets highlighted. I can sort my countries by sales or by profit percentage, and I can pick a specific team to kind of investigate how they're doing. Whatever team I pick, that gets highlighted. Everything works nicely. Hey, thank you so much for taking time to watch this awesome Excel dashboard tutorial. Between part 1 and 2, this entire video is almost like watching a big movie on Netflix. So I really appreciate you for taking time to sit with me and learn these powerful techniques. I hope you get to apply them in various different parts of your professional life. Now, just a quick reminder that if you want to grab all the individual files, not just the blank data file, but as we make progress, all the individual files, as well as a downloadable copy of this particular videos, then you can get all of them in my Excel School program. The awesome dashboard is now one of the tutorials in the Excel School program. Apart from the awesome dashboard, Excel School also has many lessons on all different aspects of Excel, right from data management with Power Query, how to work with formulas, pivot tables, charts. And so if you are looking for a comprehensive Excel course, feel free to sign up for the Excel School program using the links that are in the video description below. Big thanks to you again for watching this video, and as always, I'll try to catch you again somewhere else. Bye bye.